This was a really fun piece.
It's a very fun piece.
It was a delight to report.
Introduce us to David Lloyd, founder of this network. How did it come about? He'd had a long, successful career as a radio DJ. Was it something of a crossroads?
He was definitely at a crossroads. So this was in the early days of the pandemic. He was 59, and he had been kind of phased out of his job. He was in music radio, very youth-oriented industry, and his husband had just been laid off from his DJ job, and all of his peers were kind of being phased out, taking consulting jobs. At the same time, as a listener, he was hearing some of his favorite hosts and anchors in news and music getting replaced.
Disappear.
Yeah. And he was feeling, as a listener, a little alienated, like this wasn't for him, the music wasn't for him, the cultural references. And so he had this idea. He thought, I think there's an audience for this. What if we made a radio station for older people? He emailed his old boss, who immediately emailed him back with a spreadsheet.
Amazing.
And said, I think we can make this work.
That's all good bosses do. Yeah,
exactly.
Ready with the spreadsheet.
Yeah. And he took money out of his pension. They started this. He said they called all these legendary presenters. He said everyone said yes.
Incredible.
And now it's this huge success. They have more than 1 million listeners a month. They've spun off 2 other stations. It's a really inspiring story.
But this is part of a larger issue of people just not wanting to disappear, because when this retirement age idea was set, people were living, just at the age of 43? I mean, that's just not the case. And 20 years is not only a long time not to make money, but it's a long time not to be engaging with anybody. I think we've got a cool little graphic from your piece also about the graying populations around the world. Obviously, it's always a story that Japan has an aging population, but Europe is catching up and the U.S. is not far behind. So what are, our companies, our corporations, are people starting to understand, I think you call it phased retirement? Talk to us about what that is.
The U.S. is a little bit behind in this. Countries like Singapore and Japan, as you mentioned, are much more ahead of the curve in addressing this. In the U.S., though, there are some companies who are kind of starting to sort of understand that the population is aging. One of the interesting company, Microsoft, is doing something interesting. So they have kind of a phased situation where when you're ready to retire, you can go from full-time to part-time, but keep your full benefits.
Which is huge.
Yeah. And then people can kind of mentor younger workers, create space for them, engage in teams, and still contribute and be active, but have some more freedom.
I think about this I was raised in a university town. This is really a facet of academia. The professors talk about phased retirement. It has been something that's been available to them for a long time. What was the catalyst to this becoming more common in corporate America, corporations more globally? Was it recognition of the demographics? Was it agitation by workers who perhaps wanted to stay longer, maybe not do as much as they were doing? How did it come about? How did this become more of a zeitgeisty thing than it had been?
I think just practically speaking, because there are older workers and because we are aging as a population, so it becomes harder to always want younger workers when it's harder to find workers, full stop.
Yeah, there has to be an acknowledgement of the need for that. I think you mentioned CVS as a company that's kind of identifying older workers who could do some of the pharmacy-related jobs.
Yes, and we have a clinic here at Bloomberg, and the doctor here was telling me that she'd been a New York public health worker for years. She didn't want to do that level of work anymore, but she wanted to still work, so now she works in, a couple days a week at a health clinic in an office building.
So there's this broader response to these labor market trends that we've been talking about for a long time now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're going to see more and more of this because our population is aging. We are peak 65 right now, so there are thousands of people turning 65 around the world every day, and our median age is rising all the time. So companies are going to need to find ways to adapt to older workers. Also, older workers have a lot of experience and knowledge that's very, very valuable.
Boom Radio, as you say, a success. I mean, as these guys who founded it talk about it, was the aspiration for it to be more of a hobby, or are they at all astonished at how big it's grown, and now that they're making money off of it, it's become a
I thought there was an
concern.
audience for it.
Yeah.
They were astonished, yes. David Lloyd said, none of us can quite believe how big this has become. And he said, he's working 7 days a week. He says he wants to pull his hair out sometimes. But he said, and I quote, I've thought about this quote a lot. He said, this is by far the most fulfilling, beautiful thing I've ever done in my entire life. And if I die tomorrow, I'll feel like I've done it. And that quote has really stayed with me because it's very inspiring to hear someone seeing that level of fulfillment. He said, this is the radio station we spent our entire careers getting ready to run. And it just seemed like a really beautiful example of someone using all the experience they had to create something new and really fulfilling.
That's amazing, because why can't you create something new at 50? Why isn't it just as exciting and new in the last 30 years of your life as it is the first 30 years of your life? I thought the whole thing was incredibly inspiring, and it seems like it's going to stick with you.
Oh, absolutely. And also, we're living longer, we're healthier. Yeah. There's no reason why we shouldn't also keep working and living and traveling and doing all of those things.
Stacey Vanek Smith, thank you so much for joining us and for this excellent piece. I highly recommend everybody goes and reads it.
Stacey and I have been talking about retirement for a long time at a variety of jobs. Now
That's
here at Bloomberg, we're able to talk about the prospects here as well, but we're at Marketplace.
Please don't retire yet. I need you to get us a break.
No plans to do so as well. I mean, I'm focused on that gold watch. Still, don't do away with that. We need those totems. We need that acknowledgement.
I got it.
Okay, very good.